So please give a warm welcome to a gentleman who's written a fantastic article in the recent issue of Socialist Worker about racism and the Olympics. He's dressed for the occasion, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe he might do a few press-ups for you if you're lucky. So please give a warm welcome, go well, for Brian Richardson.
Comrades, sisters and brothers, good afternoon and welcome to East London. Welcome to the East London of the 99%, not the 1%. I have to make a confession, which is that I didn't join you on the demonstration. Steve quite kindly introduced me and said that I was going to speak first because I look a bit sporty. Unfortunately, I've got a slightly bad back, and so I wasn't able to join you on the march, but I'm sure it was a fantastic, spirited demonstration. And of course the most important thing is that this organisation, the Counter Olympics Network, is sending a strong and powerful message out there that not everybody is buying in to the corporate greed that we're seeing just down the road. I have another slight confession to make, which is this. I am a bit of a sports fan, and therefore I can understand why it was that millions of people celebrated when London was granted the Olympics in 2005, and I can understand why millions of people around the world are going to enjoy the sporting spectacle over the next few days. The truth is that the bid for the Olympics was a marketing triumph. The message that was sent out around the world was that this was going to be an Olympics for all of London. When the London team went to Singapore to pitch its bid, they took 30 school children from Newham, 30 school children from different nationalities, and the message that they went to send out was that you will find the world in one city. The message that they sent out was that every country coming here would find a host community that would welcome them. The watchword of that Olympic bid was legacy, that there would be a lasting legacy for all Londoners, something that everyone could be proud of. And I don't know if anyone saw the opening ceremony last night. That opening ceremony was also a marketing triumph. They had Doreen Lawrence, they had Shami Chakrabarti, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and Muhammad Ali, the great Olympian, carrying the flag into the stadium. They had the building workers who built that stadium lining the entrance as Steve Redgrave brought the torch into the stadium. And of course, symbolically, they had the great Olympians of the past handing the torch on to young people to light the flame that will fly over the stadium for the duration of the Olympics. A marketing triumph, but as this organisation, the initials of this organisation suggest, a con, C-O-N, a con, because the reality is, as Steve said in his introduction, this Olympics in reality is all about corporate greed. To get into the Olympic Stadium, you have to walk across a 130-metre bridge. The entirety of that bridge is an advert for Coca-Cola, one of the main sponsors. Once you get over the other side of the bridge, there's a 30-foot-high advert for Adidas. And as you walk into the stadium, there are 30-foot-high adverts for Visa, and of course the stadium itself is wrapped in a wrapping provided by Dow Chemicals, the organisation responsible for the Bhopal disaster in India all those decades ago that has still never been cleaned up. And when we talk about cleaning up, the sustainability partner for the Olympics is British Petroleum. That tells you everything you need to know about these Olympics. I live in Stratford. I live opposite a school and have done for 15 years. That school is now occupied by American athletes preparing for the games, and I kid you not, every single morning when I get up to go into my kitchen to make a cup of tea, I am stared at by security guards who assume that I must be some sort of terrorist who's turned up to terrorise the team. That is the reality of these Olympics, an Olympics of corporate greed, an Olympics of the 1%, not the 99%. We are representing the 99%, and that's why it's fantastic that there are so many people here today protesting and campaigning. Because every single Olympic Games there has been repression. Ordinary people have been marginalised, have been excluded, have been driven out of city centres. But from Mexico in 1968 through Beijing in 2008 to London in 2012. But at every single one of those Olympics there has also been resistance. Very little resistance inside the stadium, with of course one glorious exception in 1968 when those athletes raised a black-fisted salute denouncing the racism of America. One example inside the stadium, but outside people have always campaigned and protested. And of course you'll remember that when civil servants and when transport workers said that they were going to strike at the start of these Olympics, they were denounced by politicians right across the mainstream political spectrum. Well, I think it's a shame that those strikes didn't take place, because if they had taken place, they would have just shown what power ordinary working class people have to bring this society juddering to a halt. The message that those workers were sending out is that we have suffered for years under these austerity measures from governments around the world. Here in Britain, in Greece, in Spain, in Ireland, right across the world, people are suffering whilst the bosses, the bankers, continue to profit. Well, we are going to, if they get their way, continue to suffer years of misery long after the Olympic circus has upped and left town. And we need to say that we're going to send a message that we're going to continue to campaign and protest. Throughout the Olympics, we're going to monitor their repression. We're going to record their repression. But after these Olympics are over, we are going to reclaim our streets. We are going to reclaim our London. We want the missiles off the buildings. We want the military out of our city centres. We're going to reclaim our streets. We're going to reclaim our city, and we are going to reclaim our world. That is why we must continue to campaign. We must continue to protest. Workers will be continuing to fight against the rotten misery that governments around the world are imposing on us. So we need to continue to carry campaigns like the campaign that has marched into this park today, into our communities, into our colleges, into our workplaces, and continue to build the struggles of the future. Thank you very much.
Great stuff, thank you very much, Brian. Come on, let's hear it one more time. Okay, remember